What's up guys, my name is Brandon from Gearist.com. Today we're going to be talking to you about the RC1600 version 2 from New Balance. This shoe is a purebred racing flat, and for those of you not really familiar with running in a racing flat, sometimes you can be thrown by the fit and weight of such a shoe. The weight is what it is, obviously, because it's a racer. You want it to be light and fast, but the fit is where a lot of people get thrown. It's actually built on a really narrow last. We're going to talk about this in a minute, but most racing flats are built on very narrow lasts. Ostensibly, this is to keep the shoe kind of more in contact with your foot and in contact with the ground and kind of give you that more natural running feel where you're going to really engage the foot and the leg a lot more. So it's really exciting for us to be able to take a look at this shoe because it's got one hell of a resume so far. So let's check out why that is. As always, the first thing we're going to take a look at is the outsole of this shoe. On this guy, these black little nubs that you can see right here in front of the forefoot area and then at the just behind the forefoot area. This is New Balance's Dynaride technology. What's really cool about these is it's actually almost kind of like a mini sort of nubby spiky system a little bit. A lot of people actually run in this shoe for cross country, and this gives that additional traction. These are essentially very rubbery, they're rubber nubs that sit on top of kind of a TPU plate right there, and they actually add quite a bit of traction to this. I've run in this a little bit of snow, which wasn't the greatest thing in the world because it's not meant for that, and these aren't very deep, but they did add more traction than I expected to be there. This also makes it good for track workouts and things like that. Now, in this red area right here under the metatarsals, right under the forefoot that you can see, this is all blown rubber. It's actually really quite durable. There's not a whole ton of wear on it that I can see as of right now. And then also back here in the rear foot, kind of on the lateral side to just to the base of the heel right there, this is also blown rubber. Now all this green you can see here is exposed Revlite or EVA foam that's New Balance's proprietary material. Now, being that this is a racing flat, it's not meant to be, or it's not built to be or designed to be a high mileage trainer. As such, I would expect it to maybe get around 200 miles, give or take. It really depends on the efficiency of your gait and that kind of thing. So if you're planning on training in this, just be aware that you're probably going to break the shoe down. However, I will say that that probably won't necessarily be an outsole wear thing. It'll probably just kind of be an overall breakdown because, again, the materials of a racing flat are not meant to go for 500 miles or what have you. This, if you get 200 miles, you're doing really well with this. All right, now let's check out the midsole of the RC1600v2. That is this green part right here. Now, on this, simplicity is the name of the game. It is built from single density EVA foam or Revlite EVA foam. Really cool material, about 30% lighter than traditional EVA. It's, again, very, very simple. What you can see through this little cutaway right there, I'll try to hold it up, you may be able to see it, is what looks to be a piece of carbon fiber. And actually you can see where it affects the flexibility. Now there's a lot of flex right at this flex screw moving forward, but right here it's still quite bendy. Believe me, if I put force to it, it would really bend. But this actually adds quite a bit of spring and responsiveness. We'll talk about this, of course, more in the ride, but that piece of carbon, almost like a carbon fiber shank in the middle there, does a lot to give this thing a lot of pep from the midsole. For you guys that are really into the specs of a shoe, this thing comes in at 5.9 ounces in this shoe, which is a men's size 11. I believe that in a men's size 9, it's about 5.2 ounces, and it's got a 6mm heel to forefoot drop. Let's talk about the upper. Now, the upper of the RC1600v2 is very simple, just like the midsole here. It's basically a really open mesh that you can kind of see there, but it's overlaid with all these very, very thin bonded materials, these overlays right here that are going to add structure to it. This is part of New Balance's Phantom Fit, and it does a great job. It looks a little bit complex. You look at all these lines and all the kind of designs on it and everything, but when you get up close to it, it's very, very simple. Now, one thing that adds, a couple things actually, that add some durability to the shoe are, number one, if you look everywhere below kind of halfway up the upper here, this is not just the strapping, like kind of bonded overlays, it's actually solid overlays all the way around the heel, all the way around the circumference of the shoe. So that's a pretty cool thing that's going to add some durability. Additionally, you can see these microfiber sections here, right here on the toe cap that actually winds around all the way to right in the arch, which number one, adds a ton of stability, but two, prevents any kind of breakthrough in the forefoot. It's meant to prevent breakthrough in the forefoot where you might be stressing the shoe a lot or something like that. It also goes all the way around back here, all the way around the shoe. Again, the full circumference of the shoe, keeping it nice and solid and durable. The tongue, as you can probably see there, is a very open mesh with a little bit of foam underneath it right there. Very, just kind of nice and flat, stays away from the foot. It feels really good. In fact, wearing this barefoot, which I generally do not run barefoot, but I did a couple runs in this barefoot, or one run, excuse me, barefoot in this, because I always like to tell you guys what it's like, was really very comfortable. And to be honest, I felt no need for socks at all. The only seam on the inside is this transition right there. You can see from the collar area into the rest of the kind of interior mesh there. This Phantom fit, I really enjoy it more and more the more I run in it, and it just feels really good because this thing disappears on your foot. And again, that pop from that spring right here, which we will again touch on in the ride section, just adds a touch of responsiveness to it that, you know, you don't have to focus on the upper. You're not going, oh, is it laced here? Is it weird here? Do I have a hot spot here? You just think about running. Now, for the fit, in case I haven't mentioned it before now or it hasn't sunk in, this is a racing flat. So if you're looking at other shoes that have very open and very rounded toe box and whatever, this isn't that. This is a racing flat. It's built on a very narrow last, but again, this is very standard and typical for racing flats. As such, I found the fit of this really, really nice. And where I've talked about some of the pointier toe things that New Balance has had going on in some of their shoes lately, it actually works really well here, and to be honest, it's quite rounded. If you look at it very kind of close and study it there, that's actually a really nice shoe shape for a racing flat. I found the security, the Phantom fit, really nice. It actually, again, just goes on that foot, really cinches down wherever you want it, however you want it, because they're just traditional laces on there, and it just fits the foot really, really well, and again, just disappears by way of its lightweight and that kind of thing. In terms of sizing, the size 11 fit me exactly how I would expect it to fit and was just, again, very, very comfortable. I really like the fit of the shoe. The one thing that I will mention, and this is, I don't know if this belongs in the fit section of this review or the interior, the upper section or what have you, this is something that happened to me once and only on this particular shoe right here, the left shoe, and that's that the sock liner right here kind of began to creep up, and by the time I got to the end of my run, it was kind of like that. Now, it's very soft and flexible and super thin, so it wasn't a big deal, but it just kind of snuck its way up. Now, I won't yet because it was only in the last run that this happened, but I would imagine just some shoe goo or rubber cement or something like that will hold that in place, no problem. And again, on the right foot, it did not happen at all. So I don't know what that's about. Probably just kind of a breakdown of whatever holds it in place interiorly. Not a big deal to me, just thought I would mention it. Now let's talk about the actual performance and ride of this sucker. As I mentioned a couple times, I love the pop of this shoe. It does a really great job being very responsive. If you want to run slow or do an easy run in this shoe, it's going to be hard. This shoe does not like to go slow, and you're probably not going to like to go slow in it. So just be aware of that ahead of time. This is a racer, pure and simple. Now, if you've seen our reviews before, you know that I really like a lot of ground feel. I like to see what's going on or feel what's going on underneath me. And one thing that's interesting about that is that when you're on just very even pavement, sometimes you can be kind of lulled to sleep by that a little bit. You just kind of fall into this rut of not really paying attention to the ground. And I really felt like this made me very aware of the ground. It's a very low stack height. I just felt the ground very, very well, and I liked that a lot. I'm not saying it's a harsh ride or like you feel you're running on raw pavement or something like that, but I was just very aware. Maybe it was kind of a combination between the low stack height and the midfoot shank or the kind of carbon fiber shank I mentioned. Whatever it is, the ground feel in this is excellent, and so the ride is very poppy and it lets you engage your body with the shoe, not just letting the shoe do all the work. So how many miles might you want to run in this? Well, for me personally, I might take this up to a half marathon. I think it'd be great for a half marathon for me, in fact. I think it's really dependent upon the racer themselves. Now, to give you a little bit of context for this, Mirinda Carfrae, who has now won the Ironman World Championship 3 times, ran in this guy, this shoe right here, the RC1600v2, at Kona this past October 2013. She ran Kona 2013 in this shoe, ran a 2:50 marathon. Now, while that may not sound the fastest thing in the world to some of you guys, keep in mind that number one, she'd just ridden 112 miles on the bike. And number 2, relative to the guys field, that seriously put her with like one of the top 5, if I'm not mistaken, one of the top 5 or so fastest marathons on the day. Now, a shoe doesn't make the performance. Obviously, the runner has to get it done, but still, she chose this for a full marathon on an Ironman race. So just kind of take that for what it's worth. Somebody on a Facebook group I'm a member of actually asked if this was good for an ultra. I don't think so. I mean, if you really wanted to, if you're kind of into that, go for it. But for me, half marathon and below, this is going to be great. And for your speed days at the track or something like that, or just kind of fartlek workouts, this is going to be a really zippy shoe that I think you're going to like a lot. Overall, I was very, very impressed by the RC1600v2. We're only a couple weeks into 2015, and already this is kind of stacking up as one of my favorite racers that I've tried in the last few months. It's really nice and lightweight, very responsive, like I said, fantastic ground feel. The price point is $110 retail, but you can find it for $99, especially if you click on over to Gearist.com and check out the review. We've got a link there. You can get it for $99. I can imagine that it will probably stay right around there, depending on where you shop, and maybe even a little bit lower when a version 3 or something like that comes out. Really great shoe from New Balance, and if you're in the market for a racing flat or just need something to kind of begin to get that speed up, this is definitely something that you should check out. Thank you guys so much for spending a few minutes with us today. If you've got any questions about this review or any of our reviews, don't forget to just leave a comment right down below in the question and comment section. Also, don't forget our series, Ask Gearist. If you've got questions about any type of gear, whether it's running gear, hiking gear, backpacking gear, swimming gear, cycling, whatever you want, just let us know. We'd be happy. Skiing, you know, all that kind of stuff. Just let us know whatever comments you've got or questions you've got, and we'd be happy to answer them on the Ask Gearist series. As always, please follow us on all our social media outlets, which you can see right over here to my right, your left, including my personal Strava right up at the top there, where you can track all of my activities, or most of the ones that I remember to upload. Strava was our app of the year, if you remember, for 2014. If you'd like to check it out, swing on over to Gearist.com, where you can find all of our news and reviews, and you can always leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you guys so much for spending a few minutes with us today. We'll see you next time.